Now, which A-lister that they were talking about is the question. But we already have broken down which A-lister that they've been talking about, and that would be allegedly Ellen. But why would they be gathering information on Ellen, number one? Two, if we're talking about someone gathering information and Twitch is working with, quote-unquote, allegedly the feds now to gather this information, who else would he be gathering information on? Well, if we're talking about him gathering information on the manipulation of the stocks, we're also talking about him gathering information on the sex trafficking, right? So if we're talking about him gathering information on the sex trafficking, that would only leave us to be with one other person that could possibly be involved in this, right?
Hello, Sean Diddy Combs. How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you. Do you like being scared? I'm not going to scare you.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, I know. I'm not going to do it. I have to thank you because the last time you were here, you turned me onto Twitter. I knew nothing about Twitter,
yes.
And now it is so much fun. I'm playing so many games,
yes.
and I get to give things away and help people out.
Yeah, you get to connect to the people. You get to make sure that they know that you care about them, and it's also you get to hear how they feeling about certain situations. And you get the news quicker than the news gives it to you.
Yeah, no, it's great. So tell me about your birthday party. Am I invited?
Yes. Yes, you're definitely invited. I invite you to all my parties. You just haven't seemed to show up.
No, well, is it on the East Coast?
Yes.
Well, that's why. Why don't you have one here on the West Coast? Because I work all the time.
Okay, well, maybe I have one at your house.
Where's that?
So, Diddy has always inquired about Ellen going on to... It's almost like a running joke, basically, that Ellen hasn't been to any of the parties. But we've already seen the video that's floating around to where Diddy's invited Ellen to the parties back in the early 90s. So Ellen has been at quite a few of the Diddy parties, needless to say. Number two, she was also questioned about the Diddy parties when all the allegations started surfacing around about Diddy in the first place. So Ellen is definitely on the tapes with the feds. What she's actually doing, we will find out later on. But Ellen DeGeneres is, needless to say, definitely on the tapes of the Diddy mansion and at the Diddy parties that they are infiltrating. So, run-on joke, if you will, she's definitely been there beforehand. How we know and confirm that she's been to the parties? Well, just how many times has Diddy been on this show?
How are you?
You know how to make an entrance. It's always with sunglasses, and then you take them off.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I like it.
You like it?
I like it.
That's right. You know, I have a question for you.
I'll have an answer.
Do you know how many times I've been on this show?
I'm going to guess 20. How many?
27 times. 27.
Wow. Wow.
I'm lying.
Oh.
It was only 17 times, but after you said the 20, I felt like I was losing, but 17 times! I've been on the show 17 times!
It feels like 20.
So, Diddy has actually revealed that he's been on the show about 17 times. And Ellen just responded back, it feels like 20. Now, the only other person that has been on the show more times than him would be Justin Bieber. The only other person that has been on the show more times than him is Justin Bieber, ironically. So, needless to say, if we were talking about, someone having some type of information being held on human trafficking of any kind, and you've had Diddy on the show the most times on your television show, I would think that someone is very close to that world, wouldn't you think? But let's go back to Sloan and let's let her conclude on our investigation.
Hi, everyone. this to me? Why are you doing this to me? What are you doing? This is not our arrangement. This is not our deal. Why are you doing this to me? You need to write this. Oh, please don't do this. Please don't do this. Okay? Just please don't do this. And so I feel with him, I can hear the wording in my head. I feel with him, and I'm going to say something. He has a funny sense of humor in that hands are crossed like this, watching me like, what the fuck is she saying? But this is what I'm picking up from him. I'm sorry. It just made me laugh. Just popped into my head like that. Like, what the fuck? Such a confusion around his death. Something to do with the computer, the information, the tapes, the recorded information. So I don't know if I'm talking voice or tape or both. I feel like I'm talking both. This man had just like so much information against this particular person. Now, how did she find out? Double person, turncoat, double person, double agent. That's what I'm trying to say. Double agent. There's men involved in this. There's a bunch of people involved in this. So there was a whole group of people. Targeted individual. I was targeted. I was targeted because I was close to these people, because I was trusted by these people who immediately picked up. And by the way, when we're talking about the targeted individual, we're talking behind the scenes, not like necessarily like, somebody stalking you going down the street. This is on an energetic level. He's saying they literally could spy on me at any time and day. That is why I went away from my home to meet them. This is why, because whoever this man is that met him in the hotel is somebody that's been to his house in front of his family. So this is somebody that's known, and they couldn't have the kind of conversation that this man needed to have with him in order to find out information. And it's really weird because this man who encouraged him to get information, like wear a wire, take pictures, ask stupid questions, whatever it was, this man is the double agent. So he uses his sex in both directions. He uses his friendliness in both directions. He targets, he zeroes in, he gets what he needs, and then he turncoats it on both sides. Okay, so this is a flipping of energy. And it's really interesting because they wanted to know who knew what this guy knew, Steven, who knew what he knew. He definitely was aware of the occult. He was aware of the undercurrent. I don't want anyone to touch my wife or kids. I want no one to go near my wife or kids. That's why she panicked. She absolutely knew that this was going down, but didn't quite understand exactly why this would be going down, and knows that this was not her husband's actions of his self, of his own actions. This is not what he did. That's why she went to the police station. She was given the information that she could go. She had a very bad feeling, and she kind of was given the information. I can now go to the police station to let them know to find him. And she was hoping that they wouldn't find him the way that they found him.
Remember what I said earlier? That the wife knew but really didn't know? So she just confirmed it through Twitch's eyes, basically. The wife knew, but she didn't know necessarily. What that means is she knew of his killers. She knew who his killers were, and she basically was scared off and paid off by those killers. So she couldn't necessarily go with the police with the information that, hey, I know such and such, set Twitch up. I know that such and such killed him, because she also knew about the underworld that Twitch was also in. Twitch unfortunately took the blood oath when he involved himself allegedly with Ellen. What that means is he was definitely behind the scenes of, say, for example, at the Bohemian Grove meetings. He was allegedly at the Diddy parties. He was at the Hollywood parties, everywhere with Ellen. Remember, we're talking about someone that was on the show since 2013. So for him to be around for so long in the Hollywood scene with Ellen, he definitely got to see and hear some things that were not privy to the untrained eye. And he had a lot of that information on that laptop. The only other person that would know he had that information on that laptop would have been Derek Huff. So, of course, him being very close with Derek Huff, who also was supposedly a straight man, and who's to say that they didn't have their own relationship behind the scenes, allegedly, from what Sloan is gathering here. Twitch trusted Derek with his life. And unfortunately, it sounds like Derek might have been the one allegedly to take his life, to guard things for Ellen. So, one thing we have to debunk here, before we let Sloan continue, is the quote-unquote rumor of Columbus Short.
Yeah.
As he reportedly left his car at home, took a 15-minute walk to a local motel that he called beforehand to make sure that they had a room vacant. And they're claiming that when he checked in, he didn't appear to be in any distress.
Didn't show any signs of distress.
That he only had a small bag with him. But when it came time for checkout, he didn't do so. So the maid went to go check on him and found him in the bathroom.
Maid reportedly found him while doing a welfare check when he missed checkout.
That's just sad. Now let's go to the next point. According to Columbus Short, the reason that he did that is because he made a bad investment and lost all of his life savings. Wow. And word for word, verbatim, here's exactly what Columbus said. R.I.P. Twitch.
R.I.P. Twitch.
And what I talked about earlier, you guys don't know what people are going through. People made investments. People lose a lot of things.
People made investments. People lose a lot of things.
This is just a theory. People are awful. They are mean. Like, people like Twitch are not awful.
Twitch are not awful.
Twitch was amazing. It's still amazing.
Twitch was amazing.
His legacy shall live on. But what if you invest in something that took your whole life savings?
What if you invest in something that took your whole life savings?
Possibly. It gets rough. I don't want to speak too much on that. Yeah, but what I will speak to, Tracy Christian, still haven't given me my money. And this is what I'm talking about. It's like, why? Because you got caught up. You can't pay me my money in a trust account. I do not trust your account. I do not trust you, Tracy Christian.
I do not trust you, Tracy Christian.
And I'm not going to kill myself. I promise you that. So pay me my money.
I'm not going to kill myself. I promise you that. So pay me my money.
Wow. That last line was so insensitive. Like, what? I can't. But yeah, so Columbus is into all that stock, crypto, NFT, investment world stuff. For those who don't know, there's been a lot of that world crashing down, and people have been losing large investments. And the person who he is referring to, Tracy Christian, is the owner of a talent agency. And y'all know he's an actor, so they know each other through that acting world. She allegedly has been recruiting people with money to put money into a certain investment, promising them large and bigger than life returns. However, she got scammed, and this is linked to FTX. And that's the trust fund that she allegedly got the money in.
Like, why? Because you got caught up. You can't pay me.
But like I said, folks got duped, so there's no money to return. All their monies got stolen by the chief executive officer.
This is one of the biggest financial frauds in American history.
And for those who don't know, FTX is the latest Ponzi scheme, the latest crypto scam that has caused so many to also lose their life savings or huge amounts of money, as they all got swindled into this investment because they used the likeness of celebrities to help endorse it to make it seem like it was legit. And in return, people have been losing all of their life savings, including Twitch, allegedly. And the FTX thing has been sending many into a Great Depression. Some lost thousands, some lost millions behind it, and there's even a guy who allegedly lost over $1 billion. So it's bad.
FTX customers were defrauded of more than $8 billion.
FTX was super trusted, which is why folks dumped all of their money into it, thinking that it was going to be their jackpot to cure all of their financial problems. But instead, they're now all in a financial ruin. And let's face it.
So, needless to say, you know, with Twitch having the money invested in cryptocurrency, NFTs, and him involving Ellen also losing millions. Let's now couple that with him having the knowledge of the sex trafficking. Again, there are a few things you have to take into consideration here. Twitch had knowledge of both things, but the biggest thing is he had knowledge of the underworld that Ellen was involved in. Because he was so close to Ellen, he had a lot of those things on that laptop. He had a lot of information on Ellen on that laptop, and unfortunately, it was part of his demise. Now, the one thing I wanted to debunk about that was the fact that, yes, he had investments in the cryptocurrency, but I don't think Tracy Christian had anything to do with his unaliving. If anything, Tracy Christian would have been working with Ellen to assure the unaliving. But that was once again one of those things that would just be there to throw you off as far as why he was actually deceased in the first place. So the wife actually received half of the estate. She actually made off with majority of Twitch's money, which led a lot of people to think that she had something to do with it, which, like I said, I don't think she had anything to do with it at all as far as what he was actually involved in. So the case is closed on DJ Stephen Twitch boss, widow Allison Holker spousal property petition. A judge signed off on Holker's request to be awarded half of the royalties boss earned after their marriage union. According to Radar Online, Holker asked the court to order property passing to the surviving spouse or surviving registered domestic partner without administration. Holker, a dancer, choreographer, and actress, claimed that her late husband owned nothing of value when they exchanged vows. Existing assets were acquired during the marriage by virtue of the work skills and efforts of the parties, she added. So remember what Sloan said. The investment was made prior to her being even around in the first place. So this was something that, like she said, the wife had knowledge of that he started on before her, but he never actually involved her in it. So she knew to get the money afterwards and say, hey, when he's gone, I'm going to now take the money and get away because I don't want the people that killed him to come after me. So I'm going to make it look like I don't know anything. I don't want anything to do with it, as I've already been instructed by Twitch to not involve myself in it or the kids. I'm going to now sell the house and remove myself from this entire Hollywood lifestyle that Twitch unfortunately was involved in. According to the mother of three, there were no written agreements between the parties that would have impacted determination that the assets were community property. During the marriage, the decedent had numerous projects and performed as a dancer, choreographer, actor, and producer, which resulted in rights to royalties as listed in attachments 7A and 7B to the petition. The majority of these royalties were through Stephen Boss Productions. Petitioner has not located specific contracts related to these royalties as they constitute a stream of income being paid to the decedent and the corporation. They will continue in the future as shows and productions are rebroadcast. Holker told the judge the funds used to establish the business and investment accounts came from decedent's work as a dancer, choreographer, actor, and producer during the marriage, she added. So, again, Ellen didn't need anything as far as the show was concerned. She mainly just needed Twitch to be removed for the simple fact that he had all the knowledge that he had from hanging around her. Same thing with Ann. The only reason Ellen removed Ann Heche and Twitch were for the same exact thing. Ann was working on a sex trafficking movie, as well as the book Call Me Sane, as well as she had disclosed the information that Ellen was a terrible person, as well as she was hiding behind the Be Kind mantra, which she was not a kind person. On top of all the allegations Ellen has had, Anne pretty much confirmed that Ellen was behind the scenes doing a lot of dirty shit, and that she wanted to be a billionaire. She wanted $60 billion, and Anne just wanted love. So, needless to say, the reason why her and Anne even broke up was because Ellen wanted so much money. So, of course, how you acquire that much money, we've already determined how you acquire that much money. You become part of that underworld and do a lot of the dirty things that are a part of that underworld. So Anne did not want to be a part of that underworld, so she was blackballed, okay? Years later, because Anne is coming out with a podcast now and a book and a sex trafficking movie, Anne is now killed in a car crash where her car gets hacked. Her electric car gets hacked, okay? Then you couple the fact with Twitch, and Twitch having all the knowledge hanging around Ellen and having all that knowledge on the computer. Ellen pretty much allegedly had to remove, again, another person the same year that her show ended. Again, both people that we're talking about here, Twitch boss and Anne Heche, were unalived the same year that Ellen DeGeneres' show ended in May 2022. The show ended in 2022 of May. Anne died in August. Twitch died in December. I don't think that's much of a coincidence there. Especially when we're talking about the knowledge that both of those two had.